He's Mike Love, the co-founder of the Beach Boys. They just released, he did, his first solo album in 30 years and a special double CD featuring new material as well as re-recorded Beach Boy classics. His first single is called Unleash the Love. And great to have Mike Love in studio here. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. It's a delight to be here. And I want Unleash the Love to be Kevin Love's theme song.
Does he know that?
No, we haven't spoken of it. But he did text me, and I told him originally I thought we were going to be on the show Monday, and I said, oh, we'll be on the Dan Patrick Show Monday. Why don't you call in, or why don't we do something? And then he texted me back, well, we have a shoot-around. I said, then I texted him and said it was going to be Tuesday. So
he might call in?
I don't know.
Oh, but I like that you're programming this show. I need help with that.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
But did you know that Kevin was going to... When did you know Kevin was going to be a great basketball player?
Well, my brother Stan, who was, as you know, in the NBA, that people ask him, is Kevin better than you? I mean, when he was, in high school, he says, since he was about 12. And Stan broke records at the University of Oregon as a Duck.
And he was a first-round draft pick.
He was.
Of the then Baltimore Bullets.
Yeah, and he would go to practice in his flip-flops. He was from the West Coast. What are we going to do? Yeah. I mean, he'd be in the winter. He'd be in go-aheads, flip-flops.
Were you an athlete?
Well, not like my dad, who was... my dad and my mom were both athletic. My dad was all-city in at Washington High School when he was like 17 years old, and on the boxing team. UCLA, and then my mom played golf. She could walk up the stairs on her hands. She was very athletic, but her real passion was music, and that's what informed us all and got us together for Christmas parties. And speaking of Christmas, happy holidays, everybody. And Kevin, I remember my wife Jacqueline reading out the night before Christmas to Kevin and all the kids when he was just a little guy.
And then he grew up to be 6'8".
Well, yeah, at least.
Yeah. Well, he's his dad's height, or up there close to Tim.
Yeah. Right? So it's, sports and music have been a family tradition. So it's kind of cool. I was a long-distance runner, and, I had to go to high school, summer school to stay eligible because I, lagged on some. Hey, there's a picture of Kevin.
Yeah.
K-Love, what's up?
What was the first band or artist that caught your ear and that you decided you wanted to be in a band?
Well, we were the first rock group, kind of, don't you think? And then the Beatles and the Stones. But, before that was rock and roll people like Elvis
Individuals.
Presley. Yeah, individual. The Everly Brothers, we loved their blend.
I don't think there's been a better harmony.
I know.
Than the Everly Brothers.
They inspired us, but we also were inspired by the Four Freshmen who did this really complicated four-part harmony. And we put that style of harmony on top of either the rock beat or the ballads or whatever it was. We were crazy about harmony, and that goes back to childhood. That goes back to Christmas parties and stuff.
Did you meet Elvis?
Yeah, we met Elvis a couple of times. One time we were in the same studio complex. He was recording in one big studio, and we were in Studio 3 where we did all our hit records in the early to mid-'60s. And he couldn't have been a nicer person. He was the greatest guy.
Competition with the Beatles?
Well, more like a rivalry in a sense, in a positive way. It's a mutual admiration thing, I think. We loved their music and they loved ours, and we were competitive. Our song, Good Vibrations, went to #1 in 1966, and we were voted in the fall, I think November of 66, we were voted the #1 group in Great Britain, #2 being the Beatles. So, I mean, nobody's been more successful in music than the Beatles. And, Paul McCartney and all the guys. I was invited by Maharishi to go to India, which I'd never been, so I went. And when I got there, all the Beatles were there. And it was the most fascinating time of my life up to that point.
Because they started with transcendental meditation.
They did.
And I think George Harrison was the guy who kind of enlightened them on that.
Yeah, well, very much so. He was into all things India. He studied sitar.
Yes.
He loved his meditation. He wrote that song, My Sweet Lord, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. And so I did a tribute to George on the album that I have out called Unleash the Love. And I did a tribute to George. He was a wonderful person, a great guy, very spiritual, very very low keyed. They call him the quiet Beatle. But what it was is he was real down to earth kind of thing. He never forgot his roots,
But if you look at that window, though, Mike, of the Beatles with 9 years of all of those hits, like anybody trying to keep up with them, it's pretty difficult. And then the Stones were in there as well. The Who came along. I don't know if there was anybody else.
Who? Just kidding.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a great time for music.
Oh, it was a fantastic time for music. And don't forget Motown.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, the Temptations blew my mind. They were outstanding.
Who came up with the name Beach Boys?
A record promotion guy in the West Coast. We didn't know what to call ourselves. We wore these Pendleton shirts, the plaid wool shirts over the T-shirt to keep you warm as the sun going down. You're at the beach. But we were calling ourselves the Pendletones. And they said, no, the song's called Surfin'. That was our first song in the fall of '61. Surfin', why not the Beach Boys? It was Russ Reagan, who became a record company president years later, but he was a promo man. I said, well, that's better than what we've got. So it stuck, the Beach Boys.
But it fits.
But it does.
But did you feel like you were married to then music that would be sort of under that umbrella of being a Beach Boy?
No, I married a couple of different girls in the 60s.
Yeah. But
what are you going to do?
Did you have a crazy 60s?
Oh, well, now we're not going to kiss and tell, Dan.
Okay. You don't have to name names.
Name names? How about numbers? No, the point is, yeah, there are statistics to be talked about, but not on a sports talk program.
All right. Well, it's sports. It's competitive.
Yeah, come on now. Wait a minute.
But you survived. It feels like
we did.
Bands survived the 60s.
Well, yeah, I don't know how much of the band survived the 60s, but what I did is I was blessed to, we all learned meditation, transcendental meditation, in 1967. In December in Paris at the Hotel Crillon. We were there to do a UNICEF show to benefit children through the United Nations. Marlon Brando and his Tahitian bride were on the show. Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor were on the show. Victor Borge, the Danish pianist. And
how great did Elizabeth Taylor look back then?
She looked good. She looked good. We went to an after party. We were invited to an after party by Marlon Brando. You want to get some breakfast? It's like 1 a.m. What's open? And we didn't know much about Paris, but he took us to Maxime's de Paris having a private party. And he was an awesome guy. And it just, there's so many great stories. They're in my book, Good Vibrations, My Life as a Beach Boy.
Congrats, by the way, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What was it, 1988?
88, yes.
What do you remember about that night?
I remember inviting Muhammad Ali to come sit with us and go with us. We spent 2 or 3 days with Muhammad Ali, going out dinners and.
Well, how'd that happen?
Well, we were contemporaries of Muhammad Ali. We loved him because he represented a lot of things like peace at a time when there was a big movement towards war.
Yeah, and
I used to buy Muhammad Speaks, the magazine, when I was in high school. I thought it was fascinating, So I've always had an admiration for and fascination with different cultures, different ethnic groups, languages, architecture, you name it. And I guess that's why I wrote this song, Unleash the Love. The thing about Mother Nature, she's got a place for every creature. The beauty of God's creation is diversity. For all of us, it's a lesson that our planet's prized possession is our differences. Yet I think it's time we all agree we got to unleash the love. Yeah.
You ever forgot lyrics?
Yeah, sometimes I'll drop a stitch. The one time we were in the stadium where the Angels play in Southern California, and the place was packed. It's sold out. The Beach Boys, Chicago, and the upper level that juts out was bouncing up and down about 1.5 feet or so. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh! And I was right in the middle of I getting around, and I went, I blew my mind that it looked like a big earthquake, but people were jumping up and down to the beat of the music.
Best concert you were ever involved in or saw?
There's a lot of great concerts, but probably the most incredible was we did 2 concerts in one day on July 4th back in the 80s. The Philadelphia Inquirer said there was 900,000 people in the streets of Philadelphia, and then that was the afternoon. In the evening, there was like 750,000 in D.C. in front of the monument. and so
To see you guys.
yeah, and we had other people
Okay.
too. Yeah, we had country, R&B, rock and roll, So, but I thought back in the 70s, I said, what could be better than, because U.S. has been so good to us, why not do a free concert on July 4th?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and so it was my idea, and we went and did it, and we did it a few times. But that one time, that's a Guinness Book of Record kind of deal.
And a lot of publicity here with Charles Manson dying and the relationship with the Beach Boys. I didn't know it was that.
It wasn't the Beach Boys. It was my cousin Dennis. That's the distinction.
Okay, tell me the story just so I have it correct. Is there like how he got involved with with Dennis?
Dennis picked up a couple of hitchhikers, these young ladies, and took them back to his home that he was renting in out in Sunset Boulevard, Will Rogers Park area. At any rate, so then we went on tour, and when he got back, these girls happened to be part of Charlie Manson's family, and so it was the diabolical and the divine. We were all meditating and stuff, and then there was, here comes Charlie Manson. So Dennis actually wanted us to join the group, join the family, but
The Manson family.
yeah, we declined.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I only met the guy once.
But he was thought he was a musician or a writer.
Yeah, Dennis got him over to Brian Wilson's house, my cousin Brian's house, where we had a studio put in, and they recorded over there. But I took the tapes and gave them to our manager at the time and said, put them away. It was because we didn't know that he was
Crazy.
Well, we knew he was crazy, but we didn't know he was murderous.
Yeah.
So it was an unfortunate part of our experience, but we weren't directly involved with him. It was my cousin Dennis's issue.
You still have those tapes?
No, I don't even know where they are.
What's the one song though that you never get tired of singing?
There's about 10.
Okay.
Good Vibrations, California Girls, I Get Around, Fun. Wouldn't it be nice?
Because they're all positive, happy, upbeat songs.
They are.
You can't go into it and go, oh, I got to sing this. I Get Around.
Yeah, well, no. I have never had that attitude. I am grateful and blessed that we can go around the world. I mean, in Germany, they like our music. In Japan, they like our music. I mean, we've been from Finland to, South Africa. It's a global thing.
But why does it work? Did you ever wonder?
I think it's love. Honest to God, before we were the Beach Boys, we got together as family. And the whole thing was, because my mom set it up, I mean, we had a grand piano, an organ, and a harp in our living room. And we got together not because we were going to make any money at it, because we loved music. My mom came from Kansas as a 5-year-old girl on a train, and they had no money. They camped on the beach in Southern California. And so my grandfather on my father's side came from Louisiana and in 1909 and started working in the sheet metal industry, which I worked in briefly. But so there was no money involved, but there was the love of getting together and harmonizing. And so harmonizing is losing your individuality in favor of the group sound, like the Everly Brothers did.
Yeah.
And we were inspired by them, but also the Four Freshmen who had this more complicated type style of harmony. So I think the essential ingredient is love.
But you have a deeper voice in just conversation, but you're capable of.
Well, my cousin took the highest part. I like singing the low parts on the ballads, but my lead, we wrote the songs together, so it would be in my key. It's automatic when I talk with old friends. A conversation turns to girls we knew when their hair was soft and long, and the beach was the place to go. That was Do It Again in 1968. We redid it with John Stamos and Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray. So that was so fun. We did that on July 4th this year.
Stamos getting some mileage here out of the Beach Boys this year.
Well, we got a
right?
little
and
mileage.
You're getting some too.
Stamos had us on Full House, and we get recognized by kids all over the world.
That's great.
The kids are now 30.
You look great, though.
Thank you.
You do.
Thank you.
You look great, and it's great to have you in.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for helping unleash the love, Mr. Patrick.
Unleash the love. Mike Love of the Beach Boys, his first solo album in 30 years, special double CD featuring new material as well as re-recorded Beach Boy classics. Maybe do you have guest singers on stage? Like
we do.
You do?
We do from time to time, yeah. In fact, Dave Cause, a sax.
I just invited myself, Mike.
Oh,
that's what I just did.
You know
there.
what? Anytime you want, Dan, you come out and do Barbara Ann with us. You cannot mess up Barbara Ann.
Oh, I can't. Okay, help me out here.
What's that?
With Barbara Ann, though.
Barbara Ann.
How's that?
You're in.
That's it?
You're in.
I can do that. I think I went a little too deep, though, didn't I?
No, we'll rehearse one time.
Let's save it for the show, okay?
No kidding. Save it for the game.
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. Who can afford to go there except NBA?
All right, we'll do a small venue then.
Well, we're going to do something groovy in the early summer next year in New York.
It's got my name written all over it.
You committed to it on the air.
Bob Moran. Thank you, Mike. Great to see you. We'll be back. Dan Patrick Show right after this.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.